Pakistan. I think Pakistan's going to help us out to extricate ourselves. We're like policemen. We're not fighting a war. If we wanted to fight a war in Afghanistan and win it, I could win that war in a week. I just don't want to kill 10 million people. Does that make sense to you? I don't want to kill 10 million people. I have plans on Afghanistan that if I wanted to win that war, Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth. It would be gone. It would be over in literally in 10 days.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, which give us insight into the fact that China is watching the same things we are here with regard to the Mueller hearings. And what they're doing is formulating and strategizing against our democratic elections. And they're not only doing it by watching and observing the absurdity of the fiasco in the Russia collusion witch hunt, they're also in contact, allegedly, according to Q, with Democrat presidential candidates. We're going to take a look at that. Plus, there has been an official mainstream media hit piece written about this channel from the Huffington Post. We're going to take a look at that and a whole lot more. So you guys are going to want to stick around and watch this episode. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As always, I like to say thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. So, today we're going to pick up right where we left off. We left off at Q Post 3500. We're picking up at Q Post 3501, and there's a lot of information we're going to cover here today. Basically, the fact that Q gives us this incredible insight into the way that China is analyzing everything that's happening with these Mueller hearings, and we're going to talk about the latest new Q posts. And the Huffington Post has decided, or the Huff Post, I should say, has decided to write a hit piece about yours truly, where I am cast as the main villain, and we're going to talk about that story, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, so you guys want to stick around and enjoy that. But before we get into that, I always like to begin by saying thank you to everybody, and come here, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media. This is how we defeat the censorship that's happening. Obviously, what YouTube's doing is plain and clear as day right now. In talking about demonetization in this article that we're going to talk about, I told you guys the other day in this video right here that YouTube had demonetized every video on my channel, and I was baffled. I had no idea why they had done that, and it was just one of those things where I woke up one morning and I looked at my channel. I was like, well, what happened? Right? All my content, because, you know, before that, 80% of it was basically demonetized. But then they went through and they demonetized every single video. And I couldn't figure out why until somebody shared with me today this article that was written by the Huffington Post a few days ago, where yours truly, Just Informed Talk, our channel here, was featured as the main villain for the fact that YouTube hasn't cracked down on what they call conspiracy theorists. And the article is completely baseless, and it has a lot of accusations about this channel without any facts to really back it up, which is typical, but that's fine. They can do that. The fact is, though, that they published this material, they've written this story about this channel, and that's what triggered individuals at YouTube to act, I'm assuming. And so now it makes total sense. So the Huffington Post wrote a hit piece about my channel, and of course, now we have the YouTube authoritarians cracking down on it, and it's like clockwork. So we're gonna take a look at that here at the latter part of the episode. But before we do that, we're gonna get right into the latest Q post. But like I said, watch these videos, share them on your social media. Sharing them is the best way to get the information out there. Also, don't forget, if you're scratching, go, what is QAnon? What's this guy talking about? I would really encourage you guys to watch this video, What is QAnon, The Great Awakening? That'll give you a good idea of what we're talking about and what this whole movement is about. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So first of all, the latest Q post. So I'm going to read this one, 3501, and we're going to talk about it. It says, possible China monitored Mueller hearing today. Possible China analyzing likelihood of POTUS re-election 2020. Possible China taking steps, think propaganda, to harm POTUS regarding 2020. Possible China insecure communications with Democrat candidates running for president regarding reinstitute U.S. piggy bank. Possible China insecure communications with former Democrat senior or Democratic Party senior officials regarding reinstituting U.S. piggy bank. Possible China put extreme threatening pressure on North Korea the day of the Mueller hearing. Coincidence? Should hearing swing to POTUS? Possible acts were taken in effort to diminish, lessen Democrat blow. Possible acts were taken in effort to change the narrative, define false flag, Q. So many things to unpack out of this, but the first thing that you take away is obviously the fact that China is being referenced here several times, and China is watching the same thing we are. We are in the middle of this incredible, what I think most can categorize as a coup. This is a coup attempt that's been in motion for quite some time. You have the obvious leftovers of the deep state, their cabal that exists, their leftovers inside our government, trying to put together what appears to be a setup to frame the president for being some sort of Russian agent and thereby steal the presidency away from him and reward it to somebody else who obviously is not him. Now, this to me is really indicative of how we look globally, but we're standing up to it. And I think that's something that globally we have gained a lot of respect for, because we're calling these people out. But in doing so, you make a lot of enemies, i.e., what President Trump goes through on a daily basis, what his family goes through, what his staff and administration goes through, what we as supporters go through. The list goes on and on. But they're all watching this and they're realizing that we're in the middle of a very tumultuous time. And it's because the people who are the most sick and evil are the most powerful, for the most part, that they're the ones who are the most conniving, they're the most ruthless, they're the most satanic and evil, and they're the ones who are going to come after us every step of the way. And that's why we are called by God to stand up against such great evil. And this talks about what China is thinking. And you have to understand that China is always evaluating how they can compete with us. Do you not think they want to reopen and reinstitute the U.S. piggy bank, where they were basically funneling billions, hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country a year in a deficit trade situation? Yeah, of course they are. President Trump's put tariffs on them. We're actually costing them billions of dollars. They're having to artificially inflate their economy. There's an incredible amount of corruption inside of that government, and they're trying to figure out every way they can to attack us. And it's interesting. If you think about what happened with Canada, President Trump made a genius move there. I mean, in asking Canada to detain the Huawei CEO's daughter, that was genius, because it immediately cut off that back door that China always had to American goods, such as our farming goods and other things. And now President Trump's got a true negotiating position to say, look, if you guys don't play ball, we're going to continue to keep these large tariffs on your country, and we're going to make back what you siphoned out of our country, what you stole, including the intellectual property. If you're not going to pay us for it, then we're just going to take it in tariffs. If you're not going to pay for the intellectual property, that's the way it is. So this is something that's really incredible. We're being told basically that China is communicating with Democrat candidates running for president. I wonder who that could be referring to. Maybe a certain Democratic candidate whose son happened to get a $1.5 billion deal from a hedge fund perspective from the Bank of China. What was his name? Oh yeah, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. Possibly that's the person who's saying, look, if I get elected, we're just going to open up the coffers and we're going to just print money and send it over to China. No worries. You can steal our intellectual property. You can rob us blind and build your country up, because we're trying to destroy the United States of America anyway, right? That's their strategy, is to destroy our country. They sold us out to the Chinese and the globalists to destroy this country. And as soon as you say that, people just go crazy, but it's true. It says, possible China and secure communications with former Democrat Party senior officials. I wonder who they could be. Could that possibly have something to do with John Kerry and others? I don't know. Perhaps they're the ones who are negotiating or informing them on how to basically wait it out until a new friendly Democrat gets into office, so you can continue to fleece our country and steal its wealth by the hundreds of billions of dollars at a time. So this is something that's really interesting. And then it talks about North Korea. Obviously, there's a story about North Korea having a missile launch and a warning to South Korean warmongers, and Q's telling us about this. Look, what's going on with that is China's exerting a huge amount of pressure for them to basically flex their muscle against the United States through South Korea. That's what this story, I think, is talking about. That's what Q's referencing in this escalation that's happened in the last few days. I mean, we all know that ultimately North Korea was a function of the CIA, and it was a puppet of the CIA to a degree that I think they had influence with certain generals, but then I think there was other influence from other generals inside the North Korean military dictatorship that was directly coming from the Chinese, and the Chinese now have a much stronger influence than even we do. But that's because we cut the strings. Q told us that we cut the strings from North Korea so that we could have peace there, and they wouldn't be always used as this existential threat of complete nuclear war. That's what North Korea represents, is this destabilizing factor that can be used as a political saber rattling in the Asian Pacific. So look, you're seeing it in real time. We're all kind of we're all kind of realizing it is what it is right now. And I think that's something that we should keep note of. And it says possible acts were taken to diminish and lessen the Democratic blow. It says possible acts were taken in an effort to change the narrative, define false flag. Well, you'll have to be the judge of that for yourselves, how they were able to try to change the narrative in that regard. I'm going to leave that to you guys. If you guys have any thoughts on that, please leave them down in the description. Obviously, the next post here is just telling us to watch President Trump on Hannity, which I did watch. And one of the most fascinating things that President Trump said on Hannity, which is even more fascinating when you take into context the fact that that these posts were put up before President Trump appeared on Hannity, would be the idea that in this interview, President Trump directly references the fact that Devin Nunes may be getting some information from Attorney General Bill Barr, and this is something that's referenced by Q here. So just another proof of Q, in case you were wondering, mainstream media, in case you were wondering, HuffPost writer Jesselyn Cook, who just wrote that piece against this channel. Yeah, we have more evidence and proofs of Q, but you're not interested in that, so that's fine. We'll get to you in a minute. Anyway, it says here, thank you, Baker. Wouldn't be here without you. This is an Anon, and Q says, and we wouldn't be here without all of you. Anon's patriots, God bless and thank you, Q. So yes, we're all here. We're all in it together. Where we go one, we go all. That's a true statement if there ever was one. Now here's a couple funny graphics, but obviously not meant to be too funny. You have this, which looks like a video game graphic, and this one as well with Pepe the Frog, who looks like to be on Epstein Island. Of course, there's a pointer to the tennis courts there. Then, of course, here is Pepe standing next to the temple. And I guess one of the Anons put this together, very clever, or Q did, interestingly enough. Not sure. It says, Anon's going to play the new, quote, Save the Children from, ... unquote, video game when released. The cast of characters should be interesting, Q. So, of course, here, I think what Q wants us to focus on is what he says later, or what they say later, is that the cast of characters being identified is what the insinuation here is. And this is obviously a message to others who are watching this board that we know exactly who is involved at Epstein Island. It's sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but it's definitely not meant to be a joke as much as it is meant to be a message to those who are watching. And you can see here that that's exactly the message that's being put forth. So, just giving that to you guys there. And of course, the next one here is an Anon responding. It's all coming out soon. And Q says, Nunes to receive a special package from Barr. Q. Well, that's interesting, especially given what we saw on Hannity. And yeah, I'll play that clip if you guys want to watch it. Or actually, you know what? I'll just link the clip in the description. But suffice it to say, there's a moment inside of the interview with President Trump, where Sean Hannity basically asked President Trump, what do you think about guys like Devin Nunes and everyone who's working on this? And he says, Devin Nunes has been doing good work, and he's going to be possibly getting some information from Attorney General Barr that's going to be very important. So if anybody's going to get the information, I'm really thinking that it's still going to be Devin Nunes who's going to get anything that needs to be declassified to help show that the narrative is that's being drawn by the extreme leftists, the Democrats, is false when it comes to this Russia hoax. And we're going to keep exposing that for what it is. So, I mean, that's basically what that is. The next and final post here says, an Anon post, some Anon add the Punisher face to Pepe. I think referring to these graphics to put a Punisher face on it as a sort of joke. Q responds saying, while it is certainly not meant to be funny, it sends a very important intended message. Cast of characters are known. Q. So there you guys go. That is the latest in the Q posts. And I can tell you right now that there are messages being sent here to certain people who need to hear them. And also there's a lot happening right now. So we have that. And with that, a few more news stories. Obviously, here's an interesting story I think that we were talking about with this Q thing. Somebody got me down on this rabbit hole where we saw this connection between this Disney cruise line and St. James Island. And they basically told me to Google something, and I did. And there's a few interesting stories about people who disappear off of Disney cruises. And this is one that stood out in particular, talking about a Disney youth counselor who just disappeared off of a ship. This is back in 2012. Obviously there's a lot here. I'll leave a link to her website. If you guys have seen her or know where she is, know her whereabouts, then please report it to authorities or her family or whoever. But on this website is listed. But let me just tell you, this is interesting that we have missing people and there's stories there that need to be examined even further. This one's a very fascinating story where she disappeared, didn't show up to work, and they just basically said, I guess they just assumed that she fell off the boat, which is an interesting way in how you could actually disappear people. I mean, if you think about it. So I just thought I'd bring that up. We'll leave a link to that and definitely say some prayers for that as well. Here's another one. D.L. Hughley, this guy is apparently a person of some fame, is saying that it's better to worship the devil than to be a Trump supporter. And I'm not going to play the clip, but he references the tenets of the Church of Satan, and he says that being a devil worshiper is somehow better than being a Trump supporter, and it's really sick and disgusting. He even says, but he actually says Trump worshiper, which is even weirder, and he seems to be okay with Satanism, which makes me have to ask the question, is D.L. Hughley, whatever his name is he a Satanist? Does he worship Satan? Has he ever worshipped at the Church of Satan? Does he believe in Satan? These are real valid questions, I think, that need to be asked with regard to that, if he's going to be making this statement about people who support the president. Just going to throw that out there. Now, of course, finally, here it is, the HuffPost hit piece on this channel where yours truly is the, as you can see here, is the main attraction, aka the villain, according to HuffPost. And so what I'm going to do is, in closing, I'm actually going to play you a segment from the new podcast, JustInformed Podcast, right here. I actually posted the full video here already. So this is up and you guys can go watch it. There's a link when you go to the main channel here, Just Informed Talk. Just click Just Informed Podcast. Come here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. But I did a whole video where, we've talked about getting lawyers. I've got one of the biggest lawyers there is on the channel there with a friend of mine, Dustin Nemos. His name is Todd McMurtry. He was one of the lawyers who represented the Covington kids. And we're working on some type of class action lawsuit with regard to, we're just looking at the possibilities for what we could do legally with regard to the way that YouTube has obviously taken this open stance of censorship and violating their tenets or their mandates from the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, and their proclivity to, in my opinion, discriminate against Christians and conservatives. So this is a great full interview. You guys are going to watch this full thing. But right now I'm just going to show you a clip from it. And it's me going over this article that was published by HuffPost. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I want to let you guys know that I did this interview before I realized that there was a piece actually put out here by the Huffington Post, which I'll show you right here, which features yours truly as the main villain. It's talking about YouTube's plan to rein in conspiracy theories is failing. And of course, this is the Huffington Post, and it's by this person, Jesslyn Cook. And I want to talk about it for 1 minute before we get into the rest of the episode, because it'll give you a lot more context on what I'm talking about when I say that we're under attack. But they wrote this piece, and apparently I'm the main attraction here. You can read it for yourself. I'll leave a link to it, but I'm going to read the first part of it and let you kind of decide for yourself. It says, 6 months ago, under tremendous public pressure, YouTube announced that it would tweak its algorithm to recommend fewer videos that could misinform users in harmful ways. It was a major step for a company that has spent years driving people toward increasingly sensationalist content, including dangerous disinformation, that would keep viewers glued to their screens for as long as possible to maximize advertising revenue. So I'm going to stop right there. First of all, to the person who wrote this article, good luck. You're going to be very much on the losing side of this battle every time, Jesslyn. And what you're trying to say is an argument for censorship. And because you're in one of the protected mainstream media positions, you are the one who can be the arbiter of what's true and what's good inside of our society, even though I'm not going to speculate as to your religious identity. But let me just say, it would be hard pressed for me to believe that there is a true woman of God, or man, or whatever you want to call yourself, who knows these days, right? But a person of God who could go out there and really rail against the right for us to have the freedom of speech, right? That's a hard sell for me, but you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. It says, the announcement in late January triggered panic within YouTube's sprawling network of conspiracy theorists. So I guess I'm a conspiracy theorist. It says the host of JustInformed Talk, a channel with nearly 250,000 subscribers. Well, thank you. That is true. We're almost there. Hit subscribe if you haven't already over on the main channel, and hit subscribe here. Why not? It says that spreads QAnon theories, which are very much validated through the Q proofs and all of the other examples that I've given, where we've basically been able to verify the fact that this is a high level of intelligence that's being fed to us to disseminate around the fake news media, which apparently, as we all know, the Huffington Post is a part of. It says, in baseless claims, please give me one example of a baseless claims, of a baseless claim. Please, one example, Jesslyn, because in this whole article, I don't see one example of a baseless claim that I've made, but apparently I make them all the time, about Democratic politicians. Warned in a February video that the new measure was sure to instantly destroy the ability of pages like his to get traffic. Yes, I did make a video back in February talking about the way that this algorithm was going to discriminate against my channel, and guess what? Thanks to you guys, they did finally follow through on that promise, and they were already doing it anyway. But I finally have figured out the reason why my channel, I woke up one morning and it was fully demonetized. You guys will remember on the main channel, I posted a video talking about that exact thing. And I was kind of like, why did this happen? And now I know why. It's because Jesslyn over at Huffington Post decided to write an article where she made baseless accusations against me, and decided to bring me to the attention of whoever it is at YouTube who can just go into the back end and go into my channel and demonetize every video on my channel, even the ones that had already been reviewed and cleared for monetization somehow. So somehow the Huffington Post called YouTube, and they came together and decided that they would attack my channel. And this is just, I don't even know what to say to this kind of obvious discriminatory practice that's going on, the obvious collusion between the mainstream media and the Democrats and these sensationalist media organizations and YouTube who are coming after me. And it's really, it's quite amusing if it weren't my career and my livelihood, but and how I support my family who depend on me. But this is what we're up against, right? All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that clip. And if you did, like I said, you can come here to the landing page, Just Informed Talk. Click this Just Informed Podcast link. Come here. You can watch the full video if you would like here on Just Informed Podcast. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications as well. So with that being said, a few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. That helps the channel big time. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications and all that. Also, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below because I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we talked about here today, and I would love to hear your feedback. So, a few more ways you can help out the channel. Are you going to be in Miami this October, or do you already live in Miami, and you want to come check out a great conference at Trump National at Doral? Do you want to come play in a golf tournament for charity at Doral in Miami? Do you want to come participate in some other great charity events? Or do you just want to come meet a bunch of like-minded patriots and share in the fellowship that we have as patriots who love this country? Whatever it is, check the link in the description of this video. There will be a link if you want to get tickets to the American Priority Conference. It's October 10th through 12th this year, 2019, in Miami at Trump National at Doral. It's going to be a great time. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, we got Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, a bunch of other people, and we got many other big names that could be showing up. So you're going to want to get your tickets now before they sell out. So I would encourage everyone to go down in the description and plan your trip. Even if you aren't in Florida, you have enough time. Book a flight, come down, make a whole trip out of it. It's going to be awesome. I really would encourage everyone to go there and check this out. I can't wait to see you guys there. That's a great way to help out the channel. So a couple other ways you can help out the channel to come over here and find me on Twitter at JustInformedYou. We can have a conversation over here outside the channel. Just come over here and give me a follow and we can start that up. And it'll be a cool way we can connect outside of what's going on here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to go check out JustInformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to different Q stuff, also different news sites, breaking news, and of course the latest videos from the channel here at JustInformedNews.com. You should go check that out. Also, a couple other ways you can help out are both financial. You can come over here, Patreon, Patreon.com, crowdfunding website. You guys come support this channel. What you do is you make a monthly donation, you set it and forget it. Know you're helping create content on this channel. As you guys saw with what I'm up against here, it seems like they're trying to shut down this channel, shut down its ability to grow and to reach more people and to earn revenue, which is how I earn a living, which is how I support my family. But I've always said with your support, especially now, it's like I don't have to worry about it as much, but it is something that I have to consider. So the more you guys support me over here on places like Patreon and other places, the more I'm able to do this content regardless. So that's a great way you can help out the channel. I really appreciate it. Of course, here, there'll be a link in the description. Links to everything we talk about will be in the description. And also I have a GoFundMe set up if you'll make a one-time or anonymous donation. That helps the channel out big time as well. So I appreciate it. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And for today's segment, I want to talk about a piece of scripture out of the book of James, chapter 5, verse 12. And it talks about truthful speech. And I know they attack this channel and say that I'm whatever they want to call me, a liar, a spreader of misinformation, whatever it is, just because I'm an evangelist who loves Christ and wants to have a conversation about things that I see in the news. Apparently that means I need to get shut down. But I want to share this verse with you because it reminds me of what I feel like I owe to God, which is just telling the truth. So like I said, it's out of James chapter 5, verse 12. It says, "Now above all, my brothers, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth, or with any other oath. Your yes must be yes, and your no must be no, so that you won't fall under judgment." Simple. It's very simple. But what it says is such a true, timeless truth That's what it is. That God has given us in his wisdom to show us that when you say yes, mean yes, and when you say no, mean no. Meaning, when you speak, you are supposed to say the things that you believe. And we're all entitled to that right by God, from God. These are inalienable rights that have been granted to us by our Creator. It's what our forefathers fought for in our revolution to give us the ability to have these rights. And I pray for the individuals who are trying their best to destroy those rights as they exist now today in our society. And I think we all should pray for them. We should all have an ability to understand that as long as we continue to have faith in God, as long as we continue to tell the truth as we know it, as long as we understand that living a righteous life and sharing the word of God with as many people as we can and being an evangelist and spreading that word is what God calls us to do, then we know in our heart of hearts that we will be justified in our actions no matter what comes against us, because I put my full faith in God the Father above. I believe in the fact that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and I know that the Holy Spirit is in me, helping me to help spread the word of God so that others may have that light come into their hearts, so that they may feel that glory from God. And remember, all you have to do is say a prayer. Just open your heart up and say a prayer. That's how you get started. It's that simple, because you are saved. Your eternal salvation has already been bought and paid for with the blood and sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. So don't forget that, and spread that message to all your family, friends, and loved ones, and even people you don't know. Put that message out into the world. That's my call to action for you. But that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching another episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, come here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and hit it, bop it, tap it, karate chop it, whatever you want to do. Hit the like button. It lets me know you guys like this content and want to see me make more. And that's going to be it for me, though. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.